Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for joining me this week. So this week I'm going to be talking about a hot topic, and that's assessment in the AI age and landscape. How do we actually collect evidence of student learning or assess our students in an AI infused world and still try and maintain academic integrity? So if you're interested in hearing some of my ideas on how we should assess in this AI age, then please keep on watching. Okay, so assessment has become such a challenge and an issue with many schools that I've been working with. And it's because a lot of teachers are kind of explaining to me that, they don't know whether their students are using AI, they don't know how to assess them and judge their work. And they're using these AI detectors, and a lot of work is coming up as AI detected work and students' work. And there's so many challenges and issues that I keep hearing about. So, first of all, let me discuss the problem with AI detectors. AI detectors are not accurate. They actually predict a lot of false positives, which means that you're accusing innocent students of being guilty. I'll give you an example. I put in my own blog articles that I wrote 20 years ago into, an AI detector, and it's come out plagiarized. It's come out that AI has been used for this particular blog article, and that's just not true. It's probably the fact that, I've got all my work out on the internet and on the web, and it's drawing on that data, but it's also telling me that it's AI generated because of the way that I've expressed certain things. And we know that there are certain words that AI, likes to use because the probability of those words being together is quite high. And so the uniqueness sometimes is lost because we tend to express ourselves in the way that AI, large language models, predict. So I can't emphasize enough not to use AI detectors. And I know that some schools have to use it. So if you have to use it and you've already started using it, can we treat it as one small tiny data point and not accuse students of plagiarizing or using AI generated content without having a discussion, without tracking the process, without setting good high expectations to students and letting them know what the consequences are and just guiding them? I'm going to look at some research papers using Notebook LM. Let me just share my screen. Okay, so I've got this paper, Assessment in the Age of AI. This paper is so important and still so relevant because we are in an AI infused world now. Everybody is using AI. When I first started giving AI workshops, we were actually talking about just the introductory concepts of AI. Now everyone's using them. It's a completely different conversation, and we unpack completely different ideas in our workshops. So this is a great paper. So the paper examines traditional assessment methods to AI intelligence-driven practices. The authors identify several flaws in standard testing, noting that it is often labor-intensive, inflexible, and disconnected from real world. To address these issues, they showcase how AI technologies such as automated grading, stealth assessment, and adaptive testing can create more continuous and authentic evaluations of student learning. However, the text also warns of significant risk, including the potential loss of teacher expertise, algorithmic bias, of course, and the rise of surveillance-heavy environments, which I don't propose. So I've heard that some schools are adopting that approach. Oh, let's try and catch our students out in case they're using AI. So let's track all their revision history on their Google Docs. Let's have software that monitors what happens on a student's desktop. I really don't think that that is, in the long term, going to be a solution. I think we should be teaching our students about ethical use of AI rather than using the catch you out kind of approach. And ultimately, the researchers advocate for a balanced approach where AI enhances feedback without compromising the ethical and pedagogical integrity of the classroom. Okay, so let's just have a look at the questions that Notebook LM has suggested. How does AI address primary limitations found in traditional assessment? What significant challenges does automated decision making introduce? And in what ways is the pedagogical role of assessment transformed by continuous surveillance? Okay, so first of all, I'm just going to ask for a side-by-side comparison of traditional assessment versus assessment in an AI world. Can you give me a summary of traditional assessment methods from this paper versus assessment methods that we should be incorporating in the age of AI? Please give me a side-by-side comparison table. Yeah, I think that that would be useful. So that's what I want to see. And I actually did share this on LinkedIn the other week, and it got a lot of traction because people, are really struggling with this idea. So I kind of gave a summary. I'll put a link to the comment section below, but I gave a summary of traditional assessment versus reflexive assessment, where we're a little bit more innovative with our approaches. Let's see what this paper says. And then I'm going to use the deep research functionality on Notebook LM to look at the other research. Because while this paper is really interesting, I like to look at a variety of different research papers. Okay, so what does this paper say? What does Notebook LM give us in terms of a summary? They describe a shift from standard assessment paradigm, yep, SAP, which can sap literally the energy out of you, the traditional way we measure student performance, towards more dynamic AI-enabled methods. While traditional methods have been valuable, the sources argue they are often onerous, discrete, uniform, inauthentic, and antiquated. Now, I've got this table, right? So this table is pretty good. But look, if we can actually create an infographic that's going to help us understand this a little bit more, why not? So I'm going to create the infographic, but I actually want to use this side-by-side comparison. So let me press the edit here and describe what I want to create. So it's actually the summary. Okay. Do I want it detailed? Why not? Let's keep it detailed for now. And no, let's keep it standard. I don't want too much waffle in there. And then I'm just going to hit the generate button. Okay, now that's going to take a few minutes. So while that's taking a few minutes, let's just go through the table and see how this kind of text format is quite difficult to understand. But, we still have to be able to process different types of representation of information. So feasibility and design, traditional onerous AI aged assessment methods, feasible automated frequency, discrete snapshots. AI can be continuous. There's a personalization where, so this is the problem that I always have with personalization. I think that it's a one size fits all individual approach, but with adaptive, perhaps, it's going to be based on students' previous answers. But I still worry in an adaptive environment, we don't want students to be working individually on individual computers in the classroom. And I talk about how we are encouraging a social constructivist environment in the classroom. And if a student can do something at home as well as in class, then don't do it in class. So if a student is working through an adaptive program by themselves, they can do that at home. In class, what we should be doing is valuing the discussion, valuing the social constructivist environment where we're sharing ideas. It's more value coming to the class than staying at home working on your computers. So I always ask teachers, what value do you bring to your students' learning experiences in the classroom that they couldn't receive by themselves at home? Then we've got authenticity, inauthentic for traditional assessment, authentic, okay, because we can use simulations, virtual internships, AI-driven patients, co-workers, yeah, and mimic professional communities of practice. Okay, the skill relevance, antiquated, assesses skills that are becoming obsolete because machines are now routinely performing them. And the modern assessment incorporates AI tools. Okay, now I'm not going to read the last one because I can see that the infographic is ready. So let's have a look. I think we'll be able to visually process this information. Oh, I just love this. So we've got traditional and AI enabled. So it's got effort and scale, onerous and manual. Timing provides discrete snapshots. Now, it's still not perfect with the spelling, right? But that's okay. I can probably edit this if I download this as a PDF. Approach uniform, one size fits all. Context, often inauthentic, and it measures antiquated skills. And then on this side, feasible and automated, continuous and dynamic, adaptive and personalized, authentic and simulated, modern and collaborative, while assessing higher order skills, while allowing for the use of AI powered tools. All right, so that was very interesting. This paper was 2022. I want to go into deep research now. So if I go into deep research, there's fast research and there's deep research. And what do I want to research? So let me dictate to text because my typing is terrible. Can you research more research papers that talk about how traditional assessments need to be reformed and how they are obsolete in an AI infused world? And how do we need to change our assessment approaches to authentically collect evidence of learning? Okay, I'd like to really see what happens here. So that is what I'm going to be researching. Okay, so I'm really interested to hear about the other research papers. And this is not the only AI tool that I use for research. I actually do use Consensus. So maybe next week I'll use Consensus to look at the research. But, I'm in the process at the moment of researching this topic because I'm writing a book on AI and assessment. I started last year in January in 2025, and I thought, okay, I'm going to release it sometime during the year, but this ever changing, dynamically, rapidly changing AI world is just really keeping me on my toes, and our boundaries and our guardrails are changing all the time, and our guideposts are changing all the time. So I'm hoping to release this book at the end of this year. And the book really will be focused on guidance and principles. So rather than saying, use this tool, use an AI detector, keep assessments the same as we've been doing for the last 50 years, I'm going to be giving some guidance, just like in my AI powered pedagogy book, with, how do we design meaningful assessments that authentically collect evidence of student learning. So if I go back here, you can see step 2 out of 5 is complete, right? I wonder if I can see that. Yeah, researching the website. Okay, it's just telling me the steps to do. So I might hit the pause button because I'm using deep research, and I'll get back to you. Okay, I'm back and I've got some sources here. So I thought, let me click on the sources first. And I haven't added them to my folder on Notebook LM yet. So I just want to have a look at the 20 sources. So redesigning assessments for AI enhanced framework. And then I can actually have a look at it. So let me see whether I want this source or not. Yep, it looks like a paper. Yep, I'm going to keep that source, so I'll keep that ticked. Authentic assessment in the age of AI. So let's have a look. Working futures. I mean, I just don't want any Reddit, like, and blog articles. Yeah, okay. Yep, this looks like an interesting article. Um, okay, beyond detection, redesigning authentic assessment. So, look, I'm going to go through these. I'm going to hit the pause button, and I'm going to go through these and then decide which ones I want to keep, which ones I don't want to keep. But for now, oh, here we go. How to avoid plagiarism, is a viva voce the answer? Okay, let's just have a quick look at that, because I actually recommend Aviva as one of the strategies in a list to mitigate plagiarism with our students. How to avoid plagiarism, is Aviva voce the answer? And yeah, okay, all of these are great ideas. Defining plagiarism, self-plagiarism. How do you print a viva according to, okay, what's a viva? Yep, comes from Latin, means live voice, basically. Yeah, or with the living voice. And are they saying yes or no? Depends, right? Gendered challenges in oral exams, designing inclusive viva voces. Okay. Yeah, I think it's one data point. All right, sorry, I went off on a bit of a tangent there. Okay, I'm gonna import all of the, actually, there's some here. Capability ranking summary. What's this one about? Okay, thank you for coming to explore with me, by the way. Okay, so this paper, what is this paper about? Future proofing accounting professionals, ensuring graduate employability and future readiness. Okay, all right. So we might not, I wonder why that's not selected. So we may not. What about should oral exams be? Yeah, let's include that one. Four-step to design AI resilient learning experiences. Scaling, five-step. No, no, we won't do that one. We won't do that one. Digital divide, challenges and solutions. Okay, let's do that one. Developing. Okay, and then am I at the end? There's 41. And I think it chose, Notebook LM chose like 22 for me, it looks like. Okay, so I'm going to import all of these. I mean, I've got a huge library. I can select up to 50, right, in a Notebook LM. And so this deep research tool is quite amazing. I wonder if I should give up my Consensus subscription. Consensus actually draws upon a lot of academic research. Okay, it's now in my library, I think. Yep, it's still going. And then I'm going to, it's probably going to give me a summary actually. So let me just give it a few seconds to think. I can see, yeah, UNESCO. Is that UNESCO's document? Yeah, they're all good, I think, sources. ResearchGate as well from universities, colleges. And then I think this one is not, so I might just delete that one. This one is not, might be it's, behind. Let's just remove that. All right. So let's give the same prompt. Now that I've got quite a lot of research papers, can you give me a summary from, I'll just say a summary of assessment methods versus assessment methods that we should be incorporating in the age of AI. Please give me side-by-side comparison, concise summary. Okay. See, I told you my typing was terrible. Okay, here we go. All right, 22 sources here. And then, I mean, this is a lot of sources to draw on, honestly, a lot of information to draw upon. So I'm quite happy with this. Um, I mean, I still would, whatever answer Notebook LM's going to give me, I'm still going to like double check and cross check. But just for the purpose of this video, we're just going to have a quick look. Okay. So traditional versus AI. Here we go. Content recall and factual correctness. And then versus capability, context-driven reasoning, and professional identity. Okay. Product oriented, process oriented. Absolutely. Low order thinking, higher order thinking, beautiful. Inauthentic, situated, discrete snapshots, continuous, prohibited and policed, which we don't want, collaborative, and then detection software, we don't want to use that. Live validation, like a Viva. Okay. So this is great. I'm going to give a link to this Notebook LM so that you have this information. This is all going into my book, but I want to make my book really practical. Lots of tables with just guidance, and of course, using design thinking at every stage when you're developing, for example, an assessment policy in the age of AI. But I can't wait to release a book. It'll probably be the end of this year. So I hope it's worth the wait. Okay, there were some ideas on assessment approaches in the age of AI. and really trying to move from that snapshot to a continuous, right? And valuing the process. But I'm in the process of writing a book about this. Hope to release it by the end of this year. I'm going to give myself that deadline. I've already spent a year researching, but things keep rapidly changing so much in terms of AI development that I'm constantly evolving and rethinking what I want to put in this book because I want it to be really practical. Thank you so much for watching this week and joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time.